Um, Briefly, I'll be speaking on the offering of Cain. The offering of Cain. Let's check Genesis chapter 4, verse 3 and verse 5. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offerings he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. That's Genesis chapter 4, verse 3 and 5. The offerings of Cain. While we were young, we were told that Cain brought spoiled offerings, and that was why God did not accept it. Well, that really helped us at least to know some things while we were young, to know that we need to bring good things to God. But that's not the absolute truth. The offering Cain brought was not bad. It was the normal fresh offering. But the issue Cain had is his life was not acceptable before the Lord. Many of us will come with offerings, but our offerings are like the offerings of Cain. God will never accept the offerings of Cain. If we bring something to God, we must understand that the first thing God will accept is not just the thing, but our life. So anytime you refuse to change from your sinful state, just because you claim or you believe that if you bring something to God, to the church, they will accept it. That offering you are bringing is called the offering of Cain, and God will not accept it, because the life of the giver is more important than the gift of the giver. So who you are to God is more important than what you are giving to God. God is not hungry. God is not confessions. God is not stupid. So he's not after your things. He's after your life. So that's why we say give your life to Christ. What you give to Christ is not your things. You give your life. So what God needs is your life, not your things. So we give life to Christ, not things. So if you must bring offerings to God, you must ensure that you yourself, you are ready to be offered. A life that is not right with God cannot produce an acceptable offering before God. So it is good to bring gifts to the house of God. It is good to bring offerings to the house of God. But more importantly, we must ensure that our life is in the will of God, because your life will affect what you are bringing. Are you getting what I'm saying? So as you bring your gift to God for acceptance, you must also ensure that your life is acceptable. The offerings of a man whose life is not acceptable before the Lord will be rejected by the Lord. So when you come to God with your offering, God looks at your life before considering your offering. You must understand that's the principle of acceptance before the Lord. So if you don't know this, you will just be wasting your resources. You would think you are doing service, but in heaven, you have no account of giving. You can bring your gifts to the church and the pastor will collect it. But the rewarder is God. Many of the offerings we bring to God, many of the offerings we bring to the church does not go beyond the church, because God cannot reward the giver. That's why we give and we don't get reward from God. Because we are given and our life is not acceptable. So all the things we are giving ends in the church. It doesn't get to God. Are you there? When you come with a gift and your life is not acceptable before the Lord, everything you are given will end in the church. It won't go to God. They will collect it and pray for you, but it will not go to God. And God will never reward a sacrifice that has not gotten to Him. So it means that the only reward you get is from men. You can't get reward from God because your sacrifice have not gone up to God. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it is important for us to ensure that our life is acceptable before the Lord, so that our offerings can be acceptable before God. Beware of the offerings of Cain. Beware of the offerings of Cain. The offerings of Cain is usually very fresh, very robust, very expensive. But the problem there is the giver is usually away from God. The giver is usually far from God. Are you there? That's why you see some people, they bring a lot of things to the church, very expensive. Even some of them buy expensive cars for men of God and things like that. But that offering is the offering of Cain. Though expensive, but the life of the giver is not attractive to God. Your gift may attract men, but if your gift does not attract God, you don't have a reward. Reward comes when your gift is when your gift is attractive to God. So many people give gifts that is attractive to men, but not attractive to God. And yet they're expecting God to reward them. No, God only rewards what comes to him, not what does not get to him. So you can, if you like, you can buy a jet for a man of God, you can build him a house. If your life is not acceptable, forget it. You won't get a reward. He may appreciate you, but God will not reward you. I pray that you will not give the offering of Cain. The Lord will help you to be acceptable before the Lord so that all your offerings will be acceptable in the name of Jesus. God bless you.